All right, good evening, everyone. I will call the August 14th, 2023 meeting of the Newtown Township Board of Supervisors to order. I will note that the board did meet in executive session this evening at 6 p.m. where we discussed a multitude of items with regards to litigation matters. We discussed 3 zoning hearing board cases, 26 Valley View, 3608 Westchester Pike, 3807 Alston Place. With regards to personnel matters, we discussed 3 personnel matters, one involving a disability issue, one involving military leave issue, and the third one is an employee position coverage recruitment. No, employee position coverage policy, I think it says. Getting good at writing with my left, or with my right, I should say. With that being said, Mr. Nease, please call the roll.
Mr. Altieri.
Here.
Ms. Roberts Lightcap.
Here.
Mr. Partridge.
Here.
Mr. Russo.
Here.
Ms. Chanlis.
Here.
Your solicitor, engineer, and manager here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nease. We'll now move down to the moment of silence. I ask that for tonight's moment of silence, we remember all those who are being impacted by the wildfires down in Hawaii. And now we'll stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Move down to section 5, the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion was made by Supervisor Russo, seconded by Supervisor Chanlis. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify.
Can I make one just minor adjustment?
It does it have to do with St. David's?
It does.
I'm going to do that. I talked to the solicitor. I'm going to do it when we get down there.
Never mind.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Section 6, public comment for agenda items only. If there's any members of the audience who want to come up and say anything with regards to anything that's on the agenda, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Let the record reflect that there is no public comment at this time. Section 7, minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the July 10, 2023 meeting?
So moved.
Second. Motion was made by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Chanlis. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Section 8, presentations. 8.1, presentation, discussion, and possible direction about an inaugural bike ride by Anthony DeVincenzo, Chair of the Newtown Township Trails and Greenways Committee. I do not see Anthony here. So we'll move down to the 2024 personnel budget presentation. Mr. Nease.
Is the budget presentation not on? One moment. So I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I possibly can. We're still kind of early in the budget process. There might be some changes that happen, but there is some information that I want to make sure we get before you. And some of what you're going to see tonight is stuff that you're pretty common in seeing in this presentation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it is attached to our agenda. So if anybody has not seen it before, they can spend time looking at it. We have our org chart for the township. Obviously, we talk about our legislative count. We have, the five of you, and we also have our elected auditors that are all a part, and all of those fees, all of that we pay is set ahead of time, and there's no change for 2023. The tax collector, there is a change, that just a minor change that you all approved. I believe it was 3 years ago now. maybe off on that 2 years ago, that you approved, and it's an increase of $624. Under administration, there's no changes for 2024. We have, it does show 3.5. We are moving somebody within the department that was not in the department under the administration department. But it's just a half person move or no change in hiring. And there's an increase there of $19,152. And most of that is related to just increases in wages, the little bit of increase in benefit because there's a slight change in benefits. Under finance, that department stayed the same. And there again, it's just a small change of about $8,395. Under public safety, you'll know last year we actually you approved us hiring an extra person. This year we've actually hired that person, so we now have 22 officers. We'll be at that when we stop or when we get to the end of the year. Based on the contract negotiations that were, I believe this is the fourth of a 5-year contract. There is a 3.25% increase that is in there. But there's also a lot of adjustments. We had several officers leave. And so that's how we arrived at the number that you see there. Under codes, no real changes there. And there's an increase of $12,930. Under public works, again, no change in the numbers of employees. The increase here, most of the increase here has to do with two things. There is a change in one or two of the employees have changed their health care. We had one employee in the public works that was actually opting out of health insurance, is now opted in. And so they're part of that's increase is there. The other part is that we have adjustments that we make for new hires over a 5-year period, and we made those adjustments, and that's what you see as part of that. The really big change that we have related to personnel has to do with the pension. The pension numbers is, if you look at those, you'll see those went up very significantly, $425,000 between the two sides. And if you look at that, most of that's related to the police pension. That is done on a smoothing basis. In the past, we've done it on a market-based basis, but we did it on a smoothing basis for this year. And it was the reevaluation based at the end of 2022. And it looked back over the last two-year period. And if you all remember, 2001 was that wonderful downturn that we had and that we were recovering throughout 2022, had a slight uptick, but that's what we experienced. And so I wanted you to be aware of that. That's a big number. And we're looking at that. And then when you look at the
That's
total,
actually relatively, we're in a better position than some of our surrounding
oh,
counterparts.
yeah,
I mean,
because
it's a-
before we went into this, one thing, we were 100%, over 100% funded in both funds. So even though we lost money in both funds, we had room to lose some money because the board had been prudent over the last, 8 years or so, and we've been putting extra money in as we could, and we've been making those investments that we needed to make. But there are a lot of townships that took multi-million-dollar hits, and so this was ours over that period of time. And so just total personnel budget is up $646,000. So we have some work to do on our end to try to help bring our budget for next year in line, and we'll be working on that. But I wanted you to see where we were and where we stand today. And that's the presentation for right now.
Any questions from the board? All right, Mr. Nease, thank you very much. I don't think Anthony has arrived. So we're going to jump down to, we're going to continue moving with the agenda. We're going to go to section 9, appointment to boards and commissions. 9.1, Historic Preservation Commission, Supervisor Chanlis.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to note that I think we're really lucky this time around because we had multiple qualified candidates who applied for the open position, which is a good problem to have. I think all of them would have been qualified and so it's a tough choice. And I also encourage anybody who's not selected to apply, in the future as these vacancies arise. So with that said, I would make a motion to appoint Ken Lain to the one unexpired term ending 12/31/2024 for the Historic Preservation Commission.
Motion was made by Supervisor Chandler, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? The only thing I'll note is, correct me if I'm wrong, you, as a liaison, you interviewed everyone who applied for the position.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep. That's why I said,
I just
All
wanted to make sure
qualified.
everybody knew about it.
all qualified.
Any other board comment? With that being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. We'll move down to reports, section 10. Just in time, 10.1, report from the police department. Chief Lunn, I believe you have some exciting news to share with everyone.
Yes, in July last month, a couple weeks ago now, we, myself and Sergeant Strathy went to the CALEA accreditation conference in Oklahoma City, and where we were up for reaccreditation for our international accreditation. And we went in front of the commission there for our hearing, which is every 4 years. It's a 4-year cycle we're on. And it was we did very well. And as a result, we were awarded reaccreditation through CALEA, the international accreditation.
Thank you, Chief. Very motivating right there. Very motivating. Chief, in addition to that accreditation that the police department has, they also have, what is it, through the National Police Chiefs Association as well?
The CALEA accreditation is through the International Chiefs of Police Association, and our state accreditation is through the Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association.
And is it fair to say that we're only one of a handful of municipalities in the Commonwealth that have both accreditations?
There are over 1,100 law enforcement agencies in Pennsylvania, and we are one of less than 20 that hold both the state and international accreditation.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chief.
Nicely done.
Nicely
Thank you.
done. Congratulations to you and your department. Suzanne, Chief, bring it on up and do it. All right, thank you again, Chief. We'll now move down to 10.1, report from the Public Works Director. Mr. Sharretts, do you have anything to report or supplement? Thank you very much. 10.3, report from the Building/Codes Officer. Mr. Reschek, do you have anything to supplement to your report? I believe he's here. Move down to 10.4, report from the Finance Director. Oh, Andy is on.
No, I have nothing to add.
Thank you, Mr. Reschek. 10.4, report from the Finance Director, Ms. Bullock. Do you have anything to add or supplement to your report?
She's actually on vacation this week. If I'll answer any questions if the board has any.
10.5, report from the Library Director, Ms. Caruso. Do you have anything to add or supplement? Thank you very much. 10.6, report from Leisure Services, Mr. Enhow. Do you have anything to add or supplement? Thank you very much. 10.7, report from the Township Engineer, Mr. Johnson.
I'll just highlight two things in the report. 2 capital projects which we were awarded recently, the Ellis Avenue sidewalk. We've had the pre-construction meeting. Anticipate construction to begin in the next few weeks on the sidewalk. And then also the roads program is contracts are signed and teed up to begin. We anticipate sometime beginning of September.
And for the Ellis Avenue project, that's going to be completed for what time?
Correct, it'll be done ahead of winter time, yes.
Awesome. And you said for the road program, they're going to start that in September?
They'll start in September, yes, and that should only be a few weeks of work, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. 10.8, report from the township manager, Mr. Neese.
Yes, I just have one thing that want to make people aware of. We usually do a employee team building day, and I believe we've settled on September 20th, which is a Wednesday. And so the office, as long as the board has no objection, will be closed from 11:30 until 2:30 that day, so that we can do our team building and time that we do. And of course, the board will be invited to attend.
Thank you very much. Move down to section 11, Board of Justice.
Leonard, I have a question,
Yeah, Mr. Russo.
or more of a statement for Mr. Johnson. Newtown Street Road, they're doing a lot of work there, I guess gas line or water line replacement. And some folks have had their driveways paved. They dumped a bunch of oil on the ground, on the new road, or on the one side. And then also on Crum Creek Lane, someone had their driveway done and they dumped a bunch of oil on the ground. I think we need to have somebody take a look at that, because if that's going to affect the roadway that was just paved in the last few years, we need to go after that contractor to have that remediated.
Yeah, well, do you know where on Echo Valley?
Yeah, right in front of 307, between 307 and 309. 307 had their driveway repaved about a week and a half ago, and there's oil all over the ground out there on the brand new pavement. And then on Newtown Street Road, it's right after you get out of the circle, the second house on the right, going
Okay.
towards Berwyn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for the township manager? Seeing none, we'll move down to section 11, budget adjustment, 11.1. Can I get a motion to approve the budget transfer 2023-02, moving $10,000 from account 01-410-70-30-330.00 to account number 30-410-90-720.01 to cover the additional costs associated with the police vehicle change order?
So moved.
Motion was made by Supervisor Chandler, seconded by Supervisor Russo. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Section 12, payments. 12.1, can I get a motion approving the advertisement in the program for the Newtown Edgemont Little League sponsored 2023 state tournament at a cost of $500, which will be paid out of cycle and is not on this check register? Motion was made by Supervisor Chandler, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. 12.2, can I get a motion to approve the $800 refund to Nora Miller for a zoning hearing board petition that was withdrawn?
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. 12.3, can I get a motion approving the $1,500 escrow release payment to Robert McGarvey at 412 Ellis Avenue for a completed grading project?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Chandler. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. 12.4, can I get a motion approving the $286.77 court-ordered tax refund to Christopher and Maureen Smith at 411 Dogwood Lane?
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries unanimously. Section 13, bills. 13.1, I've reviewed the bills and I will make a motion to approve the bills on check register A dated August 14, 2023, totaling $461,479.95.
Second.
Motion was made by the chair, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries unanimously. 13.2, again, I've reviewed the bills and I'll make a motion to ratify the bills on check register A dated July 27, 2023, totaling $7,294.90. Motion was made by the chair, seconded by Supervisor Chandler. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. 13.3, again, I've reviewed the bills and I will make the motion to approve the bills on check register B dated August 14, 2023, totaling $13,116.02. Motion was made by the chair, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Section 14, developer release 14.1. I get a motion approving the phase 1 escrow reduction number 11 for the Lister development totaling $473,149.08 and leaving a remaining balance of $433,342.78 as approved by Stantec Engineering.
So moved.
Motion was made by Supervisor Robert Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. 14.2, can I get a motion approving the phase 2 escrow reduction number 4 for the Lister development totaling $208,275.80 and leaving a remaining balance of $232,573.80 as approved by Stantec Engineering. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. 14.3, can I get a motion approving the phase 3 escrow reduction number 3 for the Lister development totaling $53,895 and leaving a remaining balance of $436,184.10 as approved by Stantec Engineering.
So moved.
Motion was made by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. 14.4, can I get a motion approving the phase 4 escrow reduction number 4 for the Lister development totaling $467,413.67 and leaving a remaining balance of $1,058,000. We get right. $1,058,698.30 as approved by Stantec Engineering.
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion was made by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? All those-
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, before we move on, just as a matter of clarification on these, I know we went through them all, and I guess I should have asked to have, I guess, Mr. Nease to explain what these are, because it sounds like a lot of money, and they hear listener and release of funds. So if you can just give a quick overview, so we just assume that people know what it is, and I think that's not fair to do that.
Yeah, so most of this is related to work that is the public improvements on that project. Well, all of it's related to the public improvements on that project. The first phase, the first and second phases were related to the paving that they came in and redid and finished up. It also includes some of the landscaping that they had to come back and do. What remaining is the remaining of the landscaping and some of the stormwater that they still have to finish up. Phases 3 and 4, phase 3, there's not actually, was a pretty small amount in comparison to the others that was released. I believe all of that, if I remember right, was related to the landscaping and maybe just a little bit for one stormwater project that they were working on. And I think they got that one done, but they still have to come back and finish up the paving, and they still have to come back, and there was one area of stormwater that still has to be addressed. And then finally, phase 4, again, this was for the work that had been done in the same kind of area. They've done the base pave, and they've also done, I believe it was they did the landscaping that was required, the additional landscaping that's required. There's still some more that has to be done, but they got the big bulk of it in, and so that's what that release was for.
And this isn't township money paying the developer. This is the developer's money that they post as security for making sure that work's done. So we're just releasing money as the work gets done.
Thank you. That's what the clarification I wanted to,
Oh.
if you read off all these numbers, it's, why are we giving that?
We're not
Why
giving
would
it, it's their money, we're just
Paying
releasing.
back,
Yes,
In other words, okay, thank you. I think we still put that.
sorry, I gave you probably the wrong answer then.
No, you both gave the right answer. Thank you. Or the explanation. I appreciate it.
So I believe it was Motion was made and seconded, correct? Did you hear that? And then, so who was that again? No, I understand that.
I think-
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Ms. Roberts Lightcap and then Mr. Partridge.
Motion is made by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. There's no more board discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Carries unanimously. Bounce around a little bit now. Jump around a little bit now, so Tom, hold on. We're gonna move down to section 16. What we'll do, everyone, is we'll get the new business out of the way. Then we'll do mainline health first. Then we'll move into the liquor license, and then Aronimink will be last. Since the last two hearings have to deal with a court reporter, I figured we would just bunch them together. So move down to section 16, new business 16.1. I get a motion approving the 2023-2024 de-icing salt contract on behalf of 11 Delaware County municipalities, Eastern Salt Company Incorporated, which had the lowest responsible bid of $73.73 per ton. This award is subject to acceptance by other municipalities of their share of the contract obligation.
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? Mr. Nease is pretty self-explanatory, but usually ask you during new business if you want to add anything.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is, I believe this amount is about $2 less per ton than last year. Is that the right statement? It is a little bit over the state contract, but it's a good price.
Good job, George. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. 16.2, consider accepting the amended contribution offer from Pico in the amount of $29,064.36 in lieu of road repaving requirements on the portions of Barron Road, Devon Drive, Rhodes Avenue, Rockwood Road, and Wood Hill Road, where gas main replacement work took place. The original accepted offer was $66,313.71. But Pico's contractor repaved half the width in many of the areas before Pico communicated the acceptance of the offer. This new contribution amount reflects the payment in lieu of the half width road repaving on Rhodes Avenue, representing $1,998.66 square yards, as well as for the 237.06 square yards of paving in those other areas that staff determined need to be removed and repaved during the 2023 road program.
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. And I do have a question.
I do too.
Yeah, so Steve, if you want to just explain this, I mean, I think the motion pretty much encapsulates what happened here. That we were going to be doing these roads. Pico already went in there, did a gas replacement. We were going to have them give us the full amount. They went in, repaved half that. The question that I have, so all that's correct, right? Everything I just said summarized is accurate.
That's correct.
The question that I have, so are we now going back, and I believe George's memo said this to the board. So are we now going back to these 3 or 4 streets and repaving the other side as part of the 2023 road program?
That is correct.
Okay. And we think we can do that without affecting the other side of that, George?
That's correct. We're going to have them kind of layer it in just a little bit so that they're nice, good scene. But the project, what they did was good work. So instead of going in and just milling up everything they did, we thought that was maybe irresponsible.
Yeah.
This would do that.
All
The next one down will be how we're looking at taking care of the contract.
Understood.
So
Supervisor-
Glasgow gave us a price that equals this number or is less than this number that Pico's given us?
Glasgow, say it again, please.
Is Glasgow the contractor that's doing the paving for us this year? in
They
road
are.
pro? So is their price equal to this or less than this number that we've accepted?
That it's about the same. It would be exactly the same. The place, what we did, there was a couple intersections where Pico paved part of the intersection. We felt it was best to pave the whole intersection at one time. So we went and pulled and said that we wanted that to be reimbursed to us so that we could do the whole intersection. But the long rectangle sections of the roadway that were half of a road, we left those as they were.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 16.3, can I get a motion adding the portion of Malin Road that is Newtown Township's responsibility to the 2023 road program? This would represent 1,286 feet of Malin Road beginning at Bremar Avenue at a cost of approximately $52,000 for 4,000 square yards of work.
So moved for approval.
There's a second. Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Robert Lightcap. Is there any board discussion?
I just would make a quick note on this one. This is a little bit more than what we got back from the Pico piece. But this is our portion of Malin Road that we would be responsible for, and this allows us to do that whole section, and it's right in that same area. And George and I talked, and it made sense to take what we were not doing because Pico had done this and
Yeah.
apply it to the spot.
Understood. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. 16.4, can I get a motion extending the 2021 traffic signal maintenance contract with Signal Services, Inc. for an additional one-year term as recommended by staff and provided for in the 2021 bid and contract documents. The rates for this one-year term are identified in the attached exhibit. Motion was made by Supervisor Chandler, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? Mr. Neese, you want to add anything?
I had nothing.
Any other board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. 16.5, can I get a motion approving the traffic signal pole replacement of Westchester Pike and Brimar Avenue as a result of an accident at an estimate cost of $19,793.46.
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Chandless. Is there any board discussion?
Is this pole being reimbursed by the person that hit the pole?
That's the intention. It'll be subrogated through our insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 16.6, can I get a motion approving the one-time HVAC system maintenance proposal from CM3 Building Solutions for a cost of $29,581?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Robert Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? Mr. Neese, you want to add anything to this?
I mean, I'll answer any questions.
What are they doing now?
So this part really, when they went through and we realized we haven't done maintenance basically on parts of the system that need to have maintenance done. So they're basically going through and just doing all the maintenance and hoping that will give us a new baseline. And then at that point, then they'll come back and tell us what other corrections need to happen. But this involves like replacing all the filters, cleaning all the lines, those kind of things.
Will that address the humidity issue too?
This probably will not fix all the humidity issues, but it might fix some of them. But until they do the maintenance, they don't really know exactly what they need to do to fix the other issues.
Any other board comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. 16.7, can I get a motion approving Nave Newell to take over the work that was being done by CMC Engineering related to the Bartram Bridge Structural Rehabilitation Project contingent upon legal review?
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Chandless. Is there any board discussion? Why are they switching?
So Nate or CMC Engineering actually took a whole department and basically let them all go. And the engineer who was doing this project ended up at Nave Newell.
Got it.
And Nave Newell agreed to do the project at the same cost that CMC was doing it for. And we're picking up where it was left off. So we have the same engineer who we think is the right engineer for the project. And we're going to get a letter that we're working with Rich on that releases CMC and a letter from Nave Newell basically saying that they accept the project as at the rate that's left or the amount that's left.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. 16.8. Can I get a motion approving the township manager to send a letter requested by the fire company supporting an application for a low interest loan from the Department of Agriculture / Rural Development USDA to replace their 2008 pickup utility truck?
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Chandler, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries unanimously. 16.9. Can I get a motion approving the request from St. David's Episcopal Church for fee waivers associated with the special event permit for their annual fair on October 7th, 2023 as follows. $25 special event permit, $250 security deposit not to be required. The $500 tent permit fee and the $772.28 fee for the police support is being paid by St. David's Episcopal Church.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right. Well, now, so like I said, this is where we start going out of order, but we're going to do mainline health now. So Mr. Falcone and your team, if you want to come up, we'll go down to section 17, old business, 17.1, discussion and possible action relative to the mainline health trailer. The floor is yours, Mr. Falcone.
Thank you. So, thank you for having us back. I think this is maybe our third trip back to discuss the project with respect to the mainline health building and the mobile unit that is being proposed, and ultimately the waiver of the PRD amendment process in order to install that mobile unit. Since we were last in front of the board, we met with a working group with a couple of the supervisors to discuss the plan and the amendments that we had made. We had submitted a PowerPoint presentation to the township, but I've given the board hard copies as well. Just a quick refresher, this is for a mobile unit, PET, CT, ability that would come in. The unit is being leased, something we discussed with the subcommittee, for a 2-year period. We understand that in that period, we have to make the decision to either bring it inside the building or move on from the unit. It will be placed and it'll be accessed from the building via a platform, a canopy. The connections for the unit are located on the exterior of the building. So that's why we've chosen that location. There's a drive kind of on the third page of the package. The location plan shows the general area we're discussing, sits behind existing arborvitae. During a discussion with the subcommittee, we considered different materials to construct a visual barrier that would be located behind the arborvitae. That's shown on the PET CT and Newtown Square location detail. There'll be new fencing, solid fencing placed behind the arborvitae. One of the items that was brought to our attention was how far that fence stretched beyond the arborvitae. And if you go to one of the sheets that shows kind of the exterior of the building with a circle around the fence, there is an area that's going to be removed. If that's no longer going to be constructed, we're going to hold the fence back behind the arborvitae so that it won't be as visible stretching to the edge of the building. It'll be more aligned with where the mobile unit would be. That was some feedback we had gotten. Similarly, in our initial discussion in our initial presentation, we had a shorter fence, which is on the next slide. That didn't quite cover the entirety of the mobile unit. During our discussion with the subcommittee, they wanted to see that fence be raised. So if we move through the plans here and the sheets onto page 8, you'll notice that the fence was raised into a solid black. We also have additional plantings that will be located on the outside of that fence that will ultimately create an additional visual barrier. One of the other items that we discussed that isn't necessarily specifically related to this area of the property is some additional plantings out along Westchester Pike, some new shrubbery of native plants to be planted out to help create an additional visual buffer coming from Westchester Pike back towards the mainline health building. That's shown on sheet 9. We'll continue to work with the township on the exact species, but we have committed to making that planting, new shrubbery out along Westchester Pike. There is some shrub planting detail included, but should the township elect different types of plants, we would obviously work with them in that process. That's kind of where we are. We've made I think, a number of changes since the last time we were here, directly kind of being responsive to the feedback we got from the township. And we're appreciative of the township giving us the ability to meet with the subcommittee and work through this process.
Just to,
Do you want to say
Question.
something? Oh, go ahead.
yeah, so question, no, I mean, you did what we asked you to do, hide the, that's a, is that a solid black fence or?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't selected anything. We're trying to look at what's available, but it's going to be solid and or. Yeah, I mean, it'll be a solid visual for sure.
Okay, question, could you consider, I mean, could it be potentially like a dark green, so then it blends in nice with the shrubbery?
Yeah, we would
Is
obviously,
that a possibility?
yes, and we would take,
Yeah, so we could do it. I mean, that's the only thing I would suggest. Other than that, you know, you guys went through. It's a good solution.
well, we appreciate the feedback we've gotten to this point. So thank you for working with us.
I want to thank you guys for bringing us what we did ask. So thank you again for that. And thank you for listening to us about the front yard, or me specifically, about the front yard and planting that, because I think that that helps to soften anything that may occur behind. It gives us another layer. So I just wanted to thank you for that. I don't know if anyone else has any questions, and for that extra piece of fencing that you did note, because it looked kind of hard. And I think we talked about the panels. It doesn't read that way, Ed. It's not a whole fence, it's sections of fencing. Is that how you're still looking at it? Or is it gonna be one line of fence?
Yeah, no, I expect it will be a panel solution, just the way the arborvitae have grown and the overgrowth. We're gonna have to trim those trees back a little bit to make
Yeah.
it work. So I do think it'll be like 4-foot sections.
Yeah, we just didn't want it to look like a trash
Yeah.
enclosure. So we figured that if we had these as panels, but
Yeah.
that's actually a good I think we talked about black just because the windows were black. So, you know, I don't care either way, but that's where the black came
I'm
from.
just looking, the way that, you know, on slide 6, you know, the way that you're seeing the shrubbery, you
Yeah.
know, the green shrubbery right in front of it. If it were a dark green, it would, you know, it looked like it would, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not the-
that's actually
I'm not
great.
the design
No, It's
person.
a great suggestion, so.
Or
thanks.
Dave could paint some bricks on it.
Uh,
Red line, you can go out there
Very
and point it.
Very artistic.
Yeah, and Supervisor Russo and I'll speak for you, Mike. We thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate your efforts.
We're very appreciative of the township working with us through this process and being open to hearing us out and bringing us back and working through this process.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate that as well. I mean, normally, sometimes these communication breakdowns occur and people throw their hands up, but I want to thank you for coming back and not only to 3 different meetings here, but working with that subgroup to make sure that we all came out with something that was mutually acceptable to all the parties. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I think you'll be very happy with it as well. It's because it, you know, it adds to your property. So thanks again.
All right, Supervisor Partridge.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the waivers of land development / PRD amendment process for Mainline Health Center to install a mobile PET trailer for up to 2 years in compliance with the July 28, 2023 slideshow presented to the board. That's my motion.
Is there a second? Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Chanlis. Is there any additional board comment? With that, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Dave. All right, now we'll move to the liquor license transfer, which is 15.2, a public hearing. Tom, if you're ready. You're ready? We'll go on the record at, what is it? 7:54. The 15.2, consider approving the request of RCSH Operations LLC, doing business as Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, to transfer liquor license R-1258 from Slowdown Inc., doing business as Slowdown Grill Pub, at 4700 Pennell Road, Aston, PA 19014 into Newtown Township at 3745 Equus Boulevard. I will note at the outset that I will be recusing myself from this discussion as my firm has done work for RCSH operations. I will not be voting on this. Is counsel for R? Okay, you want to come up to the podium?
Hello, good evening.
And just identify yourself for the record.
Sure. My name's Ellen Freeman. I'm an attorney with Flaherty and O'Hara. We are a law firm based out of Pittsburgh and we do liquor licensing across the state. So if there's any questions about liquor licensing here in Pennsylvania, happy to answer it. Ruth Chris did send some booklets for everyone to review. So I'm going to pass these out. Very self-explanatory. What Ruth Chris is. Never been to one before. We're lucky to have it coming into your township because it is solicited.
While she's passing that out, I will note the township advertised this hearing 2 times, once on July 31st, 2023, once on August 7th, 2023, in the Delaware County Times. Thanks.
Thanks for that. And now Ruth Chris, if you're not aware, they're now under the Darden umbrella. So Darden operates a number of brands really across the United States. Some of those recognizable brands are like Olive Garden, Cheddar's, Capital Grill, Eddie V's. So they're very excited to bring Ruth Chris onto their brand. And as I mentioned, it's a pretty well-known brand. They have a couple of locations here in Pennsylvania, not too many. So they're excited to bring this to Newtown Township. And with all of the Darden brands, alcohol has really served as a complement to the food. So you'll see on one of those pages, their approximate sales of alcohol is about 25%. They have a great record throughout Pennsylvania in selling alcohol in a safe manner. But most everyone knows what they offer. You'll see some pictures in there of some of the food, really get you salivating for it to come into the township. What you may not know, and what I was kind of interested when I was researching about Ruth Chris, is really where the name came from. So it's actually named after Ruth Fertel. She first purchased a steakhouse called Chris Steakhouse in New Orleans in 1965. She was a single mother of 2. She mortgaged her house in order to buy it. And then it burned down about 10 years later. And so she was forced to relocate. So she started up a new place, but legally she wasn't allowed to use that name. So she got creative, threw her name in front of it and called it Ruth Chris Steakhouse, which is a mouthful to say, but she was incredibly successful in her business. She became known as the First Lady of Steak, which she doesn't love that nickname. And so now it's really grown into a massive brand. Again, Darden's very excited to have this under their umbrella now, and they're really excited to continue to keep her fresh ideas on the menu. Of course, delicious steaks, all freshly curated. And so with that, that's all I have for the presentation tonight. If there's any questions, happy to respond to them, but they're just looking forward to moving in.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Sikora, do you have anything you want to add?
No, sir, other than this is the opportunity for the public to make any comments about what they feel the good or bad idea of bringing a liquor license into town is, and then for you to consider that and then vote.
I just have a question, Mr. Sikora or the other attorney. Do you know how many liquor licenses Equus has planned for the property? I know we approved one already. This will be our second one. Have they indicated, just for knowledge, that's all?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay,
There are some other restaurant uses. I know there's restrictions because of leases as to what types of restaurants you can have.
Yeah.
Most of the things that I've seen are not liquor license related, like a spread bagel and a
La Colombe.
Columbia coffee. I don't think
Yeah.
we're very excited about that coffee place. And things such as that, but I think there are places that it could be
Mhm.
another, they're set up for a restaurant type use. So it wouldn't surprise me if another one came in, put it that way.
I would expect at least one more.
Yeah, because we just did Sedona
Mhm.
and then this one. That's what I figured as well. I mean, more the merrier, so literally, I guess, I don't know. Thank
Any,
you.
Any comments from, any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public? We'll note for the record that there are no members of the public present with regards to this hearing. All right, with that being said, we will now go into resolution 2023-26. Supervisor Roberts Lycap.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2023-26. Resolution of Newtown Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, approving the intermunicipal transfer of restaurant liquor license R-1258 into Newtown Township from another location in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Now therefore, the Board of Supervisors of Newtown Township does hereby resolve, one, that the Board of Supervisors held a public hearing on August 14th, 2023, and received comments and recommendations of interested individuals residing within the township concerning the proposed liquor license transfer. And two, that the Board of Supervisors of Newtown Township, following the public hearing by this resolution, hereby approves the transfer of liquor license number R-1258 from Slowdown Inc., formerly located at 4700 Pennell Road, Aston, Marcus Hope Borough, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, to RCSH Operations LLC at their premises located at 3745 Equus Boulevard, Newtown Square, Newtown Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, with the understanding that said transfer must be approved at a later date by the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. Number three, that the proposed liquor license transfer is subject to further approval by the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. Resolved this 14th day of August 2023, Board of Supervisors, Newtown Township. That's my motion.
Is there a second? Motion was made by Supervisor Roberts Lycap, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, one abstention. So the motion carries 4-0 with one abstention. And I'll provide the necessary documentation to the township secretary tomorrow. Counselor, did you provide your information to our court reporter just so we can have that so he doesn't have to chase you down? Tom, I'm always looking out for you. Make sure that goes on the record, all right?
Be a group on.
Don't put that one on the record. Yeah. Thank you very much. Take care. And now we'll move to the second public hearing of the evening. 15.1 land development application for the encroachment in areas of steep slope for stormwater facilities around a golf course, which is represented by Mr. D'Amico. No,
We're gonna do the conditional use. We're gonna use the conditional use application and the land development consideration. The presentation will all be combined into
Yep.
one. So the idea is they're adding to the golf course facilities internal to the golf course. They're gonna reconfigure or add to a swimming pool, reconfigure, add to a building and some additional paddle sport type courts. And so there's a land development process, because in connection with that process, there's some stormwater facilities like some pipes going through some steep slopes. There's a special approval that needs to be done under our conditional use ordinance. Mr. D'Amico's familiar with all this. He's going to make a presentation jointly, so it's not going to separate out land development and conditional use process because it just overlaps so much. It's going to be better for you here together. But at the end, you're going to consider conditional use first, and then the land development process second.
thank you very much, Mr. Secor. And before you start, Mr. D'Amico, I'll ask if there's any members of the public this evening who want to be party protestants. All right, I didn't think so. So let the record reflect that there are no party protestants present. Mr. Secor did an overview to orient the board as well as the public of what we're here for tonight. And the floor is now yours, Mr. D'Amico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. May it please the board. My name is Mark D'Amico. I'm an attorney with an office in Media, Pennsylvania. With me tonight is Brett McKay, who's the project civil engineer with Chester Valley Engineers. And Bill Berry is to the left of him. Mr. Berry is the current president of Aronimec. So just by way of brief background, the Board of Supervisors approved phase one of these land development plans last year in July of 2022. That was for a golf learning center, the renovation of the golf patio, an extension of some of the driving range tees. So the plan has been recorded. The driving tee expansion is complete. The Golf Learning Center is under roof and will be completed in the next couple months. The golf patio is expected to begin construction in the fall. So the phase one included substantial stormwater management and an extension of the fire hydrant line from St. David's Road. In October of 22, Chester Valley Engineers filed the phase two. The phase two is essentially for the pool renovations, new pool reoriented. Mr. McKay will show you that in a second. And then also some improvements to the racket center. So again, big picture, this is part of a major improvement for Ronick. It was intended to be done as one plan, but due to all sorts of logistics, we had to separate it into phases. So this is phase two. The plan has been reviewed by the County Planning Commission and they have recommended approval. The township engineer has issued 3 review letters and the most recent of which was July 21st of this year. And Chester Valley Engineers issued the day of the Township Planning Commission a response letter essentially saying that we're going to comply with all of Eric's comments. The Township Planning Commission last month unanimously recommended approval of a preliminary final plan and the minor encroachment of steep slopes that we'll review with Mr. McKay in a moment. So I think that's pretty much it. I just, in context, the steep slope disturbance, the township ordinance allows up to 15% of disturbance and of total steep slope areas. This is 0.1%, so 1/10 of 1%. Very, very small amount of disturbance that can't be avoided. And again, we'll have Mr. McKay review that with you momentarily. Plan's been reviewed by the township fire marshal, essentially no comments and will comply. Same with the township arborist, and we have a landscape plan, particular of the area along St. David's Road that we'd be delighted to share with you tonight. That's up to you all, but it's essentially a will comply. And we're also seeking 3 saldo waivers as part of the plan approval to a waiver to allow preliminary final at the same time, a waiver for building plantings within 20 feet. And then there's the type of material for some of the stormwater system. Those are the same 3 waivers that the Township Board of Supervisors granted as part of phase 1. So with that as background, we'll have Brett, please, the board just review very briefly with you the overall improvements and then in particular commenting on the extent of the stormwater improvements that are within the steep slope and the extent that the engineer has made sure that there's not going to be any erosion or sedimentation control issues. That please the board. All right.
Good. Go
Brett?
Mr. McKay. Just make sure, Mr. McKay, when you're talking, to keep that microphone, you can pick that microphone up if you want, if you need to get closer to the screen.
Okay.
Just that we're recording these, so there are people probably watching this on YouTube. Or, if they're not, we're just storing it anyway.
Okay, very good. I do. All right, yeah, that would be great. Thank you. What we have here is the overall diagram of the improvements that we're planning for phase 2. Actually, the current pools are located down in this area here. They will be removed. The area will be converted to a grass lawn area. And then the new pools will be located up here. This right here is the current Belmont building. It will be expanded to enhance the use of the pools. Then up here, we have the racket center. There will be this is the racket center here. There'll be a new deck, 2 new paddleball courts. This existing tennis court will be converted to 4 pickleball courts, no increase in previous coverage. And then we'll be putting 3 padel courts over in here. Padel, P-A-D-E-L. As a result, we are proposing 2 underground stormwater facilities, one here under a proposed tennis court which will pretty much handle most of the drainage that's coming off the pool area. And another one up just above the location of the padel courts. If we could get down to sheet number 10, I believe would be the best.
Mr. McKay, while we're doing that, just out of curiosity, what is the padel court? Not that it has any bearing on this hearing, I'm just out of curiosity.
It's kind of another form of paddleball. This is quite frankly the first time I had heard of it. But it's something apparently that's very popular, and it's catching on pretty quickly. So the club feels they would like to add these padel courts as part of their racket center.
Understood. And for that one pickleball court, this isn't the court that is inside that's not the indoor tennis
No.
court, right? It's the one to the right of that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from the parking lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the indoor tennis court is pretty much to the west of the three paddleball courts. And then this would be the first court to the east of the paddleball courts.
Just out of curiosity, and I'm sorry that I'm jumping into your presentation, but this is definitely a question for you, Mr. D'Amico. Have you guys had conversations, or has Aronimink had conversations with the residents who are on the other side of St. David's Road with regards to the pickleball court coming in?
So we have, so as you know, your ordinances require that the land development plan is advertised when it's filed.
Yep.
At the first of 5 planning commission meetings that we attended, there was at least one resident, I think only one. But they expressed some concerns about the lighting and the landscaping in particular. There's been some, there's been some trees that either, I think Pico removed as a result of the ash borer. So there's been some trees that have been taken out of that area over the last several years. And so that was part of the issue. So we sent actually to Suzanne today a colored version, actually to Heather, I don't know if you got it, but
We
a
have it, yeah.
colored version of the landscape plan, just to highlight the fact that the township arborist and Aronimink have been working to make sure that that area is supplemented and the lighting plan meets the township code.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. My line of questioning is not necessarily going towards line of sight and lighting. It has to do with, as I'm sure you were very much aware of, the negative, what people perceive impact that pickleball courts have when they're brought into different communities because of the noise.
Yeah.
As much as people love them, there's a whole contingent of people who dislike them because of the noise. So my concern is with the noise. You know, I don't know what that distance is because I haven't been there in that tennis court area in a few years. But you know, whether we think that the residents on the other side of St. David's Road, and it might only be one or two, I just want to make sure that that issue had been thought of and fleshed out with regard to that noise. Because as I said, you can Google pickleball, for every one positive article, you'll get one negative article because of the noise. And I just want to make sure that
So, Mr. Chairman.
just real quick, we should probably have you sworn in.
All right. Barry, Carriage Lane, Newtown Square, also president of Aronimink Golf Club. Carriage Lane, Newtown Square. Sorry. Bill Barry, Barry. I do. So, Mr. Chairman, yes, the only one neighbor, and I've reached out to him directly to make sure that, you know, whatever any issues that are possible to occur, that we will, you know, be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
And that you're correct about the noise.
Yeah.
And in fact, we've already taken steps to tamp down some of the noise that's coming from that area because of this particular neighbor being displeased with it. So
Yeah.
we're very sensitive.
Yeah, and to that point, Mr. Barry, I don't know what noise complaints are there now, and so I'm not aware of anything, so I appreciate you having that conversation. I'm just thinking if this plan gets approved tonight and pickleball goes in there, I don't want then people coming after Aronimink or then filling this room up because of the noise, and I think I saw you nod, for every one positive article we see with pickleball, we get the noise. I'm just covering the basis. I just want to make sure that that was thought of, and it sounds like it was. And I'm sure Aronimink will continue to be a good neighbor as they've always been, but just want to make sure that that's addressed tonight.
I can say this, that there will not be any more noise coming out of there than there already is
Got it.
due to this phase 2 plan.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's a, just for completing the information, it's about 180 feet.
I just measured off the plan from the Bedell Court to St. David's Road, it's about 180, 190 feet. To the roadway, to the actual St. David's roadway,
Got it.
yes.
Okay,
The roads.
Right.
But we're talking about, you know, a couple hundred feet, so.
it's fine. Again, I wanted to just make sure we're having this conversation now.
Yeah, and great point.
Okay, now, can we scroll down on that just a little bit? Because I want to show the area of the pipes. Nope, I'm sorry, the other way. Yeah, up, because yeah. Again, the pool area that we had shown you before, obviously is right here. The underground stormwater bed is up there. We had some problems with bedrock in locating the bed, and after several probes, that was the best place to put it. So in order to get the stormwater from the pool to the bed, we have to go through this area of natural steep slope with a pipe. That would be the encroachment in this area that we're looking for. Likewise, can we go to sheet 11? We may need sheet 12, I'm sorry. Sheet 12, sorry, keep going, yeah. Yeah, here we go. That's good. Right here is the encroachment through the steep slopes for this stormwater bed that's up by the racket center. It's difficult to determine where the man-made steep slopes end and the natural steep slopes begin. So based on the fact that we have to come for from the other pipe, we decided let's do this too, just to cover all bases.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess I think that's basically it, unless somebody has any questions.
Mr. D'Amico, what's just because I know you said that the existing pool is going to be converted to like a grassy area. There is, I'm correct, right? Isn't there? Is that isn't the ski chute? It is underneath that, right? Isn't that right under the pool? Is that building staying?
That building is staying.
Okay.
Yep. And which sheet of the plan set can we show that on?
Let's go back to sheet 10, I guess would be best.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Actually, these are the skeet chute. Yeah, bunkers right here. So that area is staying, it's not being disturbed at all.
Right, and point to the actual building itself, the old, so that would be the old pool building. So that stays, but everything to the left of that, which is the old pool area, turns back into grass.
Got it. Perfect. All right. You have anything else you want to present?
I just for the record, Mr. McKay, is that the minimum disturbance into the steep slope area in order to accomplish the stormwater management objectives that are required by the ordinance?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. And you'll be getting an NPDS permit from the county for this work, as well as final review from Mr. Johnson and Pannoni?
Yes, we will. And we'll comply with all of Mr. Johnson's comments.
We have a review. We had a review letter from the fire marshal as well, I believe.
Yes, we
That's a
did.
will comply.
That will comply.
It is.
The township arborist.
Awesome. Do you want, because you gave us that supplemental landscape plan, do you want to discuss that at all?
No, we just thought in case somebody had a question, we wanted to make sure, I actually asked Mr. McKay to colorize that plan sheet, just so, you know, in case it became a discussion item.
Okay. Good question. No. I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Again,
right
for
now.
the record, just public notice, this was the conditional use application and the land use application were published in the Delaware County Times on July 31st and August 7th, and the property was posted.
Perfect. Mr. Johnson, do you have anything you want to add to this hearing?
I do not. At this point, I've gone through a few rounds of reviews. The remaining comments are all just technical plan updates.
Perfect. All right, so what we'll do first is we'll do the conditional use approval first, and then we'll move into the land development and subdivision. So, Mr. Partridge, turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. All right, I'd like to make a motion for conditional use approval for Aronimink Golf Club, 3600 St. David's Road, in regards to application number 2022-07. And now, this 14th day of August 2023, upon application of Aronimink Golf Club for minor disturbance of steep and or very steep slopes for stormwater facilities and or pipes consistent with the land development plan last revised June 27, 2023, and upon a majority vote in favor of the application at the August 14th, 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting, this application is granted subject to compliance with the conditions of the land development approval resolution related to this project issued the same date, granted this 14th day of August 2023 by the Board of Supervisors of the Township of Newtown. And that's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Roberts Lightcap to grant the conditional use for Aronimink Golf Club. Is there any other board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. We'll now move into the subdivision and land development resolution.
Just give me 30 seconds.
That resolution for the record is going to be 2023-28. It will also be read by Supervisor Partridge. And Tom will go off the record. All right, Tom, we'll go back on the record. Yeah, Supervisor Partridge.
Okay. Resolution number 2023-28, preliminary / final land development approval, Aronimink Golf Club, golf learning.
I'll save the Aronimink the expense. Thank you very much, Tom. I will note that the record is closed, yeah, if you got it, Tom.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr.
Go.
Partridge.
Resolution number 2023-28, preliminary / final land development approval, Aronimink Golf Club, golf learning center and golf patio. Whereas Aronimink Golf Club, a developer, submitted preliminary / final land development plans prepared by Chester Valley Engineers, Inc., 83 Chestnut Road, P.O. Box 447, Paoli, Pennsylvania. Sheets 1 through 31 and a stormwater management plan, all of which are dated October 27, 2022. Last revised June 27, 2023. Collectively, the plan to the Board of Supervisors for preliminary / final approval for further development of its 300.98 acre site with a new pool area and racket center improvements with associated stormwater controls to its golf club at 3600 St. David's Road. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Newtown Township hereby resolves and conditionally approves: 1, the preliminary / final plans; 2, the following waivers and or partial waivers which must be set forth on the final recorded plans as follows. A, section 148-43.b4 to allow the use of high-density poly of HDPE piping in place of RCP in the stormwater conveyance system, except as required by the township engineer. B, section 148-12A to allow submission of a combined preliminary / final plan. C, 104-14B to allow some of the new required plantings that would otherwise be within 20 feet of the building to be provided for in some locations consistent with the plan. 3, such approval is subject to developer obtaining approval from the Newtown Township Municipal Authority for sanitary sewer connections and/or design if required. 4, such approval is subject to the compliance with the terms and conditions of the aforementioned Township Engineer Review Letters, Fire Marshal's letter, the Township Arborist Review Letter, and the statements and representations set forth in the Chester Valley Engineers Responses Letter, and any representations made by developer and or Chester Valley engineers on their behalf at the Township Newtown Township Public Meeting on August 14th, 2023. 5, such approval is also subject to the terms and conditions outlined below, which have been agreed to between the developer and the township, and which shall be reflected on the final recorded plans as approved by the township engineer. Should any of the terms and conditions outlined below conflict with those outlined in the letters referenced in paragraph 4 above, terms and conditions below shall govern. A, the developer will execute a stormwater management and maintenance agreement and contribute to the township stormwater management maintenance fund. B, total disturbance shall not exceed 1 acre unless an NPDES permit is obtained. C, developer shall enter into a developers and financial security agreement with the township to be prepared by the township solicitor and provide financial security per state law, township ordinance, and the agreements. 6, following the construction of the stormwater facilities provide the township as built-in drawings as well as a final calculation of new and cumulative steep and or very steep slope disturbance. 7, except as otherwise set forth herein, developer shall comply in all respects with all applicable township codes, ordinances, and regulations, as well as any applicable county, state, or federal regulations, and developer must obtain all applicable township, state, county, and federal permits, approvals, and or waivers. 8, preliminary/final approval is contingent upon payment of all outstanding professional fees / escrow replenishment within 45 days of approval, except as properly challenged in accordance with the municipality's planning code. 9, the township manager is authorized to execute the developer's agreement, financial security agreement, and stormwater agreement, which prepared in a form acceptable to the township solicitor, township engineer, and township manager without further action of the board. Resolved this 14th day of August 2023 at a public meeting of the Board of Supervisors, and that's my motion.
Supervisor Partridge, your microphone cut out. You're gonna have to start that all over again. Take it from the top there. Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Supervisor Russo. Is there any board discussion? I just want to say thank you again, Mr. D'Amico, for your professionalism and for getting this done. I know that you guys also had a lot of meetings with residents when you were doing the golf club, the golf house, or that's the proper phrase.
Yeah, golf learning.
Thank you, Golf Learning Center.
Yep.
So again, I appreciate that collaboration. As I alluded to earlier on, I've always been a good neighbor, so let's hope that there's no pickleball issues, but I know that if they
Fingers
are,
crossed.
yeah, fingers crossed that those will be addressed. So thank you, good luck. It looks beautiful, and I wish you guys all the best. So
Thank you. And I just want to take a second to thank the township administration, township manager, Heather, Suzanne, Andy, Eric, Rich. They were all great. Took a little while, had a couple curves, changed the plan a little bit, and they worked with us the whole time, and much appreciated.
awesome, perfect. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move down to resolutions of legislation and action. We'll do 19.1. Consider approving resolution 2023-25 plan revision Stony Knoll sewer extension, approving the required EDUs for the 17 lot Stony Knoll development. Note the EDUs were approved at the July 10, 2023 meeting. I believe this is what now, just the resolution that we're adopting?
Yes,
Yeah, it's just.
it's just formally accepting the resolution.
So move for approval.
Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Chandler. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 19.2. I get a motion approving resolution 2023-26 liquor license transfer into
You
Newtown.
You did that.
Oh, we did do that one. Goodness me. So all we have to do is 19.3, consider approving resolution 2023-27, a multimodal transportation fund grant application for trails. Supervisor Chanlis.
Can I get a motion, let's see, resolution number 2023-27, resolution for grant proposal. Be it resolved that the Township of Newtown of Delaware County hereby request a multimodal transportation fund grant of $2,819,943 from the Commonwealth Financing Authority to be used for installing a trail connection at Campus Boulevard. Be it further resolved that the applicant does hereby designate Leonard B. Altieri III, Esquire, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, and Stephen M. Nease, Township Manager, as the officials to execute all documents and agreements between the Township of Newtown and the Commonwealth Financing Authority to facilitate and assist in obtaining the requested grant. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Chanlis, seconded by Supervisor Partridge. Is there any board discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries unanimously. We'll move down to board comment. Is there any board comment? Seeing none, we'll move down to section 21, public comment. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.